Welcome to Physical Anthropology. In this lecture, we'll talk about what anthropology is, what the four subfields of anthropology are, and what physical or biological anthropology specifically refers to. Next, we'll explore the origins of biology and evolutionary theory, which are the foundations of physical anthropology. As an introduction to the field, here's a famous physical anthropologist named Diane Fossey, who happens to be a San Jose State graduate. She studied gorillas and was known around the world for her efforts to promote gorilla conservation. She is the subject of a Hollywood movie called Gorillas in the Mist. Tragically, she was the victim of an unsolved murder in 1985, killed in her forest cabin in Rwanda. Despite her untimely death, her legacy lives on through a foundation that does research and works to stop the illegal killing of gorillas. My name is Emily, and I am a biological anthropologist. My favorite part about studying biological anthropology is the opportunity to travel and to get to know people with fascinating lives and amazing skills. I've done research in Chile, Ecuador, California, and most recently, Mexico. Here I am in Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, standing in the home garden of a Yucatec Maya family. While working on my studies there, I learned about the incredible system of agriculture developed thousands of years ago by Maya peoples and still used and refined by farmers today. It is a system of farming that provides the basis for a unique and delicious cuisine, in addition to providing habitat for wildlife. There is so much to learn from Yucatec Maya farmers about how to work with nature to feed humans and nourish cultural traditions. One of my favorite aspects of Yucatec Maya farming is beekeeping. Thousands of years ago, this native stingless bee, called Melipona, was domesticated by Maya peoples. It is still kept today, though not as often, in wooden hives like these. Honey from the Melipona bee is used to treat eye, ear, respiratory, digestive, and postpartum conditions. It holds the flavors of bright tropical flowers grown on Maya farms and can be a bit smoky from the small fires that are used to clear brush and restore soils. Now, let's take a moment to learn about the course and what you'll be studying. Here's the course in a nutshell. And on your screen is a smart monkey working hard to crack the nutshell of a palm fruit. Later on in the course, we will learn about the intelligence of monkeys like this capuchin, ingeniously making use of tools in his environment to get at his favorite food. First, we will master evolutionary theory. In the process, we will learn about the history of science and study genetics and health as a way of understanding how forces of evolution have shaped human bodies and behavior. Next, we'll learn about our closest living relatives, the non-human primates. We will read a book that explores primate behavior by asking the question, why is it that primate males appear to have more power than primate females in a wide array of ape, monkey, and lemur societies? Are they truly dominant? What do the different reproductive strategies of males and females tell us about these questions? During this unit, you'll have the chance to learn more about your favorite non-human primate while learning how to create a scientific research poster. Last, we'll turn to our origins and evolution. Major themes for the final portions of this class are climate change and cooking, specifically how these two factors propelled the evolution of our genus, the genus Homo, beginning about 2 million years ago. Let's turn now to the introductory quiz I assigned. The quiz is an opportunity to explore some of the course content. It is not a test. It is also an opportunity for me to learn a bit more about you and your personality. I hope you enjoyed taking it as much as I enjoy reading your answers. In the first question, I asked if you were part Neanderthal. If you answered yes, you might be new to Neanderthals, but perhaps you remember the Geico caveman commercials. This is undoubtedly the most famous Neanderthal in history. In question 2, I asked if you were part Denisovan. If you have East Asian ancestry, the answer is yes. The Denisovans are a much more recent addition to the human family tree, and in some ways they could be referred to as Asian Neanderthals. In 2008, paleoanthropologists digging in a cave in southern Siberia unearthed a 40,000-year-old fossilized pinky bone that had belonged to a young girl. These remains indicate that she had a similarly stocky build to a Neanderthal and was closely related to modern humans. They were also able to extract ancient DNA and sequence her unique genome. Surprisingly, the scientists found genetic overlap between the Denisovan genome and that of some present-day East Asians, and in particular a group of Pacific Islanders living in Papua New Guinea known as Melanesians. It appears the Denisovans contributed between 3 to 5% of their genetic material to the genomes of Melanesians. The dark green bracelet fragment at the top of the slide is thought to have been made by Denisovans and was found in the same area as the bones of the Denisova girl. If you have some African or primarily African ancestry, you too might have Neanderthal DNA. About 0.3% of African genomes consist of Neanderthal DNA. Helpfully, this DNA includes genes that boost immune function and protect against ultraviolet radiation. In questions 4 and 5, I asked you to circle behavior that you would associate with male or female members of the primate order. Students tend to select hunting, territorial defense, and the maintenance of dominance hierarchies through violence for males, and food sharing, offspring rearing, and caretaking for primate females. The reality is that males and females perform all of these different roles, depending on what type of primate we're talking about. Simply put, there's no normal or natural when it comes to being a primate male or female. In fact, a great range of behavior is observed amongst monkeys, apes, and their kin. Here we have a male emperor tamarin carrying its baby. Male emperor tamarins have been observed to spend the most time with infants, often carrying both infants, as emperor tamarins normally have twins, while the female forages. Male emperor tamarins are reported to be more observant of the infants and more protective. The emperor tamarin illustrates the reality of a diverse range of behaviors observed in male and female primates, a group of unique arboreal or tree-dwelling mammals that emerged around 65 million years ago. Today, there are around 250 species of primates that have been identified. Speaking of primate families, here's a photo of my husband Colin and our daughter Kestrel. Colin's facial hair reminds me of the emperor tamarin, and you've probably heard him in the backgrounds of these lectures, taking care of Kez while I work. For questions 4 and 5, I used the word order to describe a group of animals known as primates. In question 6, I asked you what the word order referred to. As many of you noted, order is a formal category used in biology to identify and group related species. Later in this lecture, we will learn about this classification system and its origins. For question number 7, I asked you what the paleo diet is. The popularity of the paleo diet has brought increased public attention to research in physical anthropology, which provides insight into the diets of living hunter-gatherers as well as diets of past cultures and ancient human ancestors. According to the Mayo Clinic, a paleo diet is a dietary plan based on foods similar to what might have been eaten during the Paleolithic era, which dates from approximately 2.5 million to 10,000 years ago. A paleo diet typically includes lean meats, fish, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, foods that in the past could have been obtained by hunting and gathering. Other names for a paleo diet include Paleolithic diet, Stone Age diet, hunter-gatherer diet, and caveman diet. In this class, we will learn about the diets of our ancient hominin ancestors and how the discovery of the use of fire for cooking around 1 million years ago provided the fuel for the evolution of our big brains. In question 8, I asked you about the meaning of social Darwinism. Social Darwinists believe in, quote, survival of the fittest, the idea that certain people become powerful in society because they are innately better. Social Darwinism has been used to justify imperialism, racism, eugenics, and social inequality at various times in history. Importantly, Darwin himself was not a social Darwinist. In fact, the phrase survival of the fittest isn't actually Darwin's. If we read the quote above, we see that Darwin did not believe that an individual's position in a class system was derived from their DNA. Rather, it was socially, not naturally constructed. Human institutions, the biases and prejudicial agendas they are built from, lead to some groups of people holding power and privilege over others. An example of the misuse and misunderstanding of evolutionary theory in the form of social Darwinism as an approach to public policy is epitomized by the eugenics movement. The eugenics movement in the United States focused on eliminating undesirable traits from the population. Proponents of the eugenics movement reasoned that the best way to do this was by preventing, quote, unfit individuals from having children. During the first part of the 20th century, 32 U.S. states passed laws that resulted in the forced sterilization of more than 64,000 Americans, including immigrants, people of color, unmarried mothers, and people with mental illness. Adolf Hitler, one of the world's most notorious eugenicists, drew inspiration from California's forced sterilizations of the, quote, feeble-minded in designing Nazi Germany's racially based policies. For all these reasons, I am eager for you to become an expert on evolutionary theory so that you can separate fact from fiction and use this theory as a tool for identifying the interconnectedness of all life on Earth rather than a divisive and dangerous form of prejudice. Next, in question 9, I asked you which trait most distinguished humans from all other organisms, and most likely accounted for our global success as a species. You may be surprised to find out that violence and warfare, manipulation, and control are all within the realm of normal animal behavior. Let's take a look at an example of master manipulators, parasites. On the left, you'll find an image of an ant that has been taken over by a parasitic fungus that first entered its brain and forced it to climb to the top of a leaf. Next, the fungus paralyzes the ant and begins to devour it from the inside out to support its own growth. On the right, a parasitic wasp injects the spider with mind-controlling chemicals that tell the spider to spin a web to house the wasp's own babies. The zombie spider will later become food for the baby wasps as they grow in the special cocoon that the zombie spider built for them. Lastly, you too may currently be under the control of a parasite. If you have or grew up with cats, it's possible that you have a disease that results from infection with the Toxoplasma gondii parasite, one of the world's most common parasites. Toxoplasmosis has no obvious symptoms in most adults, but it makes infected rats act more bravely so that the parasite can more easily jump from rats to cats, who then pass the parasite along to humans. There is evidence that toxo causes people to want to be around cats, an act of mind control on the part of the parasite that further increases transmission. For more information, you can check out this short YouTube video. Surprisingly, it is our capacity for empathy and cooperation that sets us apart from all other animals. Anthropologists believe that big brains and our adorable, highly defenseless babies are both part of the evolution of our species' interest in helping others. Primatologist Frans van der Waal believes that the origins of morality and concern for fairness lie in our non-human primate relatives. Let's take a look at his research.
So a final experiment that I want to mention to you is our fairness study. And so this became a very famous study, and there's now many more, because after we did this about 10 years ago, it became very well known. And we did that originally with capuchin monkeys, and I'm going to show you the first experiment that we did. It has now been done with dogs, and with birds, and with chimpanzees. But with Sarah Brosnan, we started out with capuchin monkeys. So what we did is we put two capuchin monkeys side by side. Again, these animals, they live in a group. They know each other. We take them out of the group, put them in a test chamber. And there's a very simple task that they need to do. And if you give both of them cucumber for the task, the two monkeys side by side, they're perfectly willing to do this 25 times in a row. So cucumber, even though it's really only water in my opinion, but cucumber is perfectly fine for them. Now, if you give the partner grapes, the food preferences of my capuchin monkeys correspond exactly with the prices in the supermarket. And so if you give them grapes, that's a far better food, then you create inequity between them. So that's the experiment we did. Recently, we videotaped it with new monkeys who had never done the task, thinking that maybe they would have a stronger reaction, and that turned out to be right. The one on the left is the monkey who gets cucumber. The one on the right is the one who gets grapes. The one who gets cucumber, note that the first piece of cucumber is perfectly fine. The first piece she eats. Then she sees the other one getting grape, and you will see what happens. So she gives a rock to us, that's the task. And we give her a piece of cucumber, and she eats it. The other one needs to give a rock to us. And that's what she does. And she gets a grape. And she eats it. The other one sees that. She gives a rock to us now, gets again cucumber. She tests a rock now against the wall. She needs to give it to us. And she gets cucumber again. So this is basically the Wall Street protest that you see here. So a final experiment that I want to mention to you is our fairness study. And so this became a very famous study, and there's now many more, because after we did this about 10 years ago, it became very well known. And we did that originally with capuchin monkeys, and I'm going to show you the first experiment that we did. It has now been done with dogs, and with birds, and with chimpanzees. But with Sarah Brosnan, we started out with capuchin monkeys. So what we did is we put two capuchin monkeys side by side. Again, these animals, they live in a group. They know each other. We take them out of the group, put them in a test chamber. And there's a very simple task that they need to do. And if you give both of them cucumber for the task, the two monkeys side by side, they're perfectly willing to do this 25 times in a row. So cucumber, even though it's really only water in my opinion, but cucumber is perfectly fine for them. Now if you give the partner grapes, the food preferences of my capuchin monkeys correspond exactly with the prices in the supermarket. And so if you give them grapes, that's a far better food, then you create inequity between them. So that's the experiment we did. Recently we videotaped it with new monkeys who had never done the task, thinking that maybe they would have a stronger reaction, and that turned out to be right. The one on the left is the monkey who gets cucumber. The one on the right is the one who gets grapes. The one who gets cucumber, note that the first piece of cucumber is perfectly fine. The first piece she eats. Then she sees the other one getting grape, and you will see what happens. So she gives a rock to us, that's the task. And we give her a piece of cucumber and she eats it. The other one needs to give a rock to us. And that's what she does. And she gets a grape. And she eats it. The other one sees that. She gives a rock to us now, gets again cucumber. She tests a rock now against the wall. She needs to give it to us. And she gets cucumber again. So this is basically the Wall Street protest that you see here.